Hi, my name is Jo Canning and I'm a principal with EMA Partners, and I'm delighted to be a part of the Women in Payments speaker series, My Career in 6. And kicking off this Canadian chapter, we have Carolyn Stevens, CHRO for Interac, who is joining us today. So welcome, Carolyn. And I would just ask if you could introduce yourself with a couple of words.
I've been in HR for about 35 years, primarily in the payments ecosystem, working for the FIs, but also working for partnership companies like SimCore, D&H, and now Interac. So really happy to be here with you today.
Who or what inspires you?
My family.
And do you attribute your success to luck or hard work?
Both.
And what propels you forward?
I think the key thing is making a difference to others, helping them in their journey in their career.
Wonderful. And perhaps you can share with us a favorite quote or a motto that you live by.
Well, there's one by Viola Davis where she says, there's no prerequisites to worthiness. You're born worthy, and I think that's a message a lot of women need to hear.
When applying for a new opportunity, what percentage of skills or attributes do you feel that you need to have deep expertise in order to feel really confident with your application?
I think it depends on the type of role and how technical it is, but I would say on average, if you have between 70 and 80% of the prerequisites, and you have the ability to learn quickly and high potential and good attitude, I think you're well on your way.
Good attitude can take you a long way, that's for sure. And in your opinion, what is the coolest payments company around today?
Well, that's easy. It's Interac.
I knew that one. So I think we know a little bit more about you now than we did a couple of minutes ago. So let's move on to some more detailed questions. And the first question that I have is, what do you feel has been the biggest challenge that you faced as you've climbed the career ladder in this industry?
I think there's two things. I think as you grow in your career, you need to have advocates who have been successful in your industry. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but instead how you can learn from their successes and your strong points really does help you move yourself forward. I would say the other one is navigating politics. As you continue to grow, you really do need to understand and be able to adapt to politics. And you need to know who the influencers are in the organization. So I would say that those would be the top two challenges, is knowing the influencers, knowing how to help them advocate, and knowing how to navigate internal politics.
Yeah, that navigation of politics can be a tricky one for sure. And what stands out for you as you reflect back in terms of having been your biggest accomplishment? What are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of making a difference one person at a time. As you know, you can often become a resource and a mentor for people and end up hearing how something doesn't work. Over the course of my career, I've had the privilege of helping steer others with my experiencing and helping them become self-sufficient in turning problems into solutions.
And what specifically have you done to make sure that you are bringing others along on their journey?
Well, I think the important thing is to really understand your people and understand your culture, and then being able to lead authentically. It's not just about what you know and who you know, it's also how you come across. And I think that working with others, working with groups and your executives, you do need to know how to effectively collaborate and actually deliver on the outcomes of the organization. And so, fit is super important, culture is super important, working together.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing that you could have done differently, what would that be?
I think the key there is a combination of authenticity, practicality, results oriented. You absolutely need that in order to help drive your business and enable your business forward. But I think you need to do that with vulnerability and with authenticity. And I think when I was younger, I was so focused on the goal and the results and getting things done for the organization that I perhaps didn't spend enough time showing my true self, because it didn't necessarily aid in the problem solving. Over the years, you get wiser. And so I have become a far more open individual, both me as an individual, but also me as a professional HR person, in demonstrating empathy while also problem solving.
And how important do you think your networks and your connections have been in helping you through your career?
Critical. You cannot get to where you want without others, and I think that, as I mentioned, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So who you know and what you know is very, very important. I'm not suggesting that you go out and get opportunistic in terms of, the networking, but I do think it's very important to understand where you're going, understand who has been successful there, and to build that network and learn from them. And in so doing, they learn who you are and become advocates for you.
And so the last question that I have, I actually think is completely tailored for you, Carolyn, because you've played such an integral role in really helping to shape the corporate culture at Interac. But how exactly have you gone about doing that, shaping the corporate culture, and what kind of response or reaction have you received from the organization to your input?
Well, we've done a complete turn from an association to a corporation, what I often refer to as changing the direction of the Titanic. If you're going to change the direction of such a massive ship in a relatively quick time, you need everybody paddling in the same direction, if you will. And so it starts with the executives, making sure that the executives buy into the culture where you're heading towards, that desired state, understanding the desired state from an employee perspective so that you know what you need to change in order to get there. And then working in unison with the CEO to make sure that we are all going in the same direction, that our action plans and our behaviors and the way that we do things reinforces that very culture. Starts at the top.
It certainly does. And with that last sentiment, that wraps it up for this session. It's been an absolute pleasure spending some time with you today, Carolyn. I've learned a lot, and it's been wonderful hearing a little bit more on the thoughts and reflections of your career journey. So thank you.
It was a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.